Can Bitcoin actually reach $1 million? What would need to happen? How much money would need to flow into Bitcoin? And what are the other factors at play? That's the topic of today's video. So let's get right into it. There's been a couple $1 million price predictions for Bitcoin this year. One of them has already fizzled out, but $1 million is an iconic number that all Bitcoin holders would love to see come to fruition. Don't you get this twisted. I would love to see one Bitcoin equal $1 million. But here are some recent price predictions. A former CTO of Coinbase said that Bitcoin would reach per Bitcoin $1 million by June 17th of this year. And he was citing, the banking collapse and the fall of the traditional finance in the US and the complete devaluation of the US dollar as a result, justifying a $1 million Bitcoin price. So that one's already failed. But most recently, Cathie Wood is now saying that Bitcoin will be $1 million per coin by the year 2030. So that's the price prediction and the end date that we're going to be focusing on for the figures in today's video. If you want to know how bullish Toby and I are on Bitcoin and how much of the portfolio of ours is made up of Bitcoin, you have to check out a link to the CT Club. There's thousands of people there. There's more and more joining every day, and they get access to our portfolio, trade alerts, market updates, and all of our insights on what's happening in the crypto space, the good, the bad, the ugly, and keeping you guys secure and in the know every single day. So let's look at the market cap of Bitcoin currently. It is at $518 billion approximately. It changes minute by minute, but that's roughly where it is at the time of filming. For Bitcoin to reach $1 million per coin, that means that the market cap would have to equal about 19 trillion. That is accounting for the current circulating supply of Bitcoin. The maximum supply of Bitcoin ever is 21 million, but we're not at that maximum supply yet. That won't happen until about 2140 when the last Bitcoin is mined. So in today's terms, and according to that 2030 price prediction, we would need Bitcoin market cap to hit 19 trillion. That is a 37x from today's current market cap. That's 3,700% increase going just into Bitcoin. Keep in mind, the current total cryptocurrency market cap of all cryptocurrencies is at 1.09 trillion. So Bitcoin would have to be 19 trillion just for Bitcoin. So where is that money coming from? You have to look at the market drivers that would inspire investments in Bitcoin to move it to that price, right? It's either going to come from the investor side or it's going to come from the devaluation side of the US dollar, but we're going to get into that at the end of this video, so make sure you keep watching. The market drivers for Bitcoin classically are if it's considered a risk on or a risk off asset. Currently, seems like cryptocurrencies are still considered a risk-on asset. It means people are willing to take the risk of investing in Bitcoin or investing in crypto. It's not quite seen as a risk-off investment. It's not quite seen as a safe haven asset. Even though it's relative volatility, over time, it is absolutely proving itself to be a hedge against inflation, a hedge against censorship, a hedge against non-custodial assets that you can't guarantee your ownership of. That is what Bitcoin is here for. And of course, another market driver for determining what the price of Bitcoin is going to be is obviously regulations, particularly for institutional investors. They need regulations. They need to know what are the rules that they're allowed to play by to invest and invest other people's money into Bitcoin. So we're looking for regulatory clarity. If it's friendly or not, that's another story, but at least clarity. They want to at least know what the rules are that they are to play by. And if it's not friendly there, it's going to be friendly somewhere else, and that's where the money is going to move, jurisdiction-wise. But keep in mind that they all want to move into Bitcoin. So that's the key factor here. Another reason why Bitcoin could reach $1 million is, of course, mass adoption. And not just the mass adoption of like, oh yeah, I know what Bitcoin is, I dabbled in it a little bit. Oh, I use Bitcoin to buy something shady on the dark web. No, we're talking about mass adoption on a country level, on a global level, like El Salvador, declaring Bitcoin as legal tender. If more and more countries can do this, there's going to be more and more capital flowing into Bitcoin as well. Now, this last one I think is most interesting. And this is going to be an isolated some figures for a really isolated event. this is just regarding the inflation of the US dollar, because right now we're talking about Bitcoin being priced in terms of US dollars. So what would it take if, let's say today's prices of Bitcoin are approximately $26,000 per Bitcoin. So if everything were the same and the only thing that changed was a devaluation of the US dollar, for $26,000 today to be worth $1 million by 2030, if you're following me, it would mean that the US dollar would have to see an inflation rate of 83.73% for the next 6 years, because 2030 is almost 6 years away. Okay, it's like 6.4 whatever years away. So 83.73% inflation for the next 6 years will mean that $26,000 today will be the same value as $1 million in 2030. So for those of you who are freaking about the inflation rate of the US dollar, keep an eye out for 83.73% for the next 6 years. And then you'll know that US dollar is hyperinflating into oblivion. Maybe you're gonna have a $1 million note like they had in Zimbabwe. Hopefully not. But my question to you now, what do you think of all of this data? After seeing all of this, does it seem like it would have to be a perfect storm of a culmination of all these events I've just described for Bitcoin to hit $1 million by 2030? Do you think that's actually realistic? Instead, do you have a conservative timeline for this to happen? Do you think it's going to hit $1 million at all, or do you think it's going to crash and burn and the government's going to snuff it out? Are you going to be the 1 millionth person to declare Bitcoin dead? Let me know in the comments down below. If you guys enjoy this type of content, let me know in the comments as well. Hit like and subscribe. I'll see you tomorrow.